Hey everyone, it's Brett from Hope to Prosper, and I'm here on the Las Ramblas Trail in San Juan Capistrano, just going on a little hike with Millie and Maria, and enjoying my day. It's a beautiful day for mid-November. It's awesome. Okay, today's subject is going to be all the record layoffs. It's really sad right before the holidays. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon. Today I want to talk about all the layoffs that have been happening lately. And I've seen a number of small news articles. Doesn't seem to be big mainstream news, but it should be. And I've also seen a number of people on YouTube talking about getting laid off. And it seems like the numbers are growing rapidly. And there are a number of reasons for these layoffs that I'll go over in some detail in a minute. But every layoff has a story, a sad story behind it, and has real social costs for the person and their family who gets laid off. A laid off can be one of the most stressful things to ever happen to someone. Okay, so let's talk about October 2025. According to Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, who are the people who track this kind of thing, layoffs are up 183% last month. They're way up. And these are the worst layoffs in October in over 20 years. And so 153,000 people were laid off in the month of October alone. And in year-to-date, layoffs for this year are just under 1.1 million people, which is a lot. And to even worse, or just as sad, is that planned hires are also way down. So they're only planned; those are down 35%, which is the lowest since 2011. So a lot of people have gotten laid off this year, and especially in October, and there are a number of reasons for it. So let's talk about who's getting laid off. Number one right now is government employees and government-related stuff. Everybody knows that a lot of people took a package, and then that package was due right now. Another problem is that there was the government shutdown. And so a lot of people got laid off during the government shutdown. The good news is that some of them might get hired back. So that's, that was a temporary situation. But for the people who stopped getting a paycheck, it was anything but temporary. I'm sure it was very stressful. So half of the people who were laid off, believe it or not, in October were either government contractors or NGOs. There's obviously a lot of people depending on the government for their paychecks, and not just employees, but all these NGOs, nonprofits, and the contractors. In fact, NGO layoffs alone, they're up a whopping 419% year over year. So a lot of those people lost their jobs. Who else lost their job? The usual suspects. IT and tech took a big hit with AI on the horizon and companies tightening their belts on overhead. AI and tech got pretty much pummeled. Another big layoff target was warehousing and logistics. That's been a tough one. Amazon just laid off 30,000 people, and that's part of a bigger plan. I think they're laying off 120,000 total. Amazon's laying off everybody. And then UPS, they laid off a bunch of people. I don't know the exact number, but basically they canned their employees and switched to contractors, which is pretty tough. Some of those people have, good union jobs, and they're 20 years in, and now they're getting replaced by contractors, which is kind of crappy. Another big hit, believe it or not, has been media. So employment in Hollywood, it's down half since COVID. And that's a lot of LA jobs, and jobs around the country, but definitely LA. So Hollywood's down half, and newspaper and cable TV are down 70%. So that's who's getting laid off. It's very sad, but that's who it's affecting the most. There was also some layoffs in retail and other small things, but those are the big sectors that are getting laid off. So what's my take on all of this? Anybody who knows my story knows that I got laid off twice at the end of my career, and it sucks to be, an IT guy in your 50s getting laid off. I know all about it. It ended my career. I just got tired of getting laid off, so I decided to retire instead. But I think a lot of this is cost cutting and efficiency. There's a lot of greed in corporate America right now. I think just people just want to make more and more and more and share less and less. And by people, I mean management, investors, things of that sort, private equity. I also think there's just big structural changes. You know, it's starting with artificial intelligence, but everybody is looking for efficiency everywhere they can get it. You know, Elon Musk has talked about it. You know, he's created the Optimus robot. He says in very short order, you know, we're talking a year or two, not a decade, these Optimus robots could be taking a lot of jobs. They could be doing things like warehousing, logistics, healthcare, you name it. And so, you know, he's talking about the need for maybe universal basic income. And he believes this will usher in like a golden age where everything becomes super cheap and affordable for everybody. But, you know, to get from here to there, a lot of people are going to experience a lot of pain with job loss. And then I have a question, you know, is manufacturing going to make a big comeback? You know, one of the things that the new administration is, there's a lot of, you know, with the tariffs, onshoring is coming back. And then also there's a lot of investment into our country from foreign countries. So how is that going to affect us? You know, Stephen Miller says that, you know, 2026, and also Scott Bessent says 2026 is just going to come roaring back. So maybe this is just a temporary blip. We'll have to see. But covering all that, I would just have to say, you know, I think job security is kind of a myth. And one of the guys I was watching, I'm sorry I didn't get his YouTube channel, but you could just see how bummed he was. He'd been laid off twice in 3 years. And people who depend on their job, man, it's so easy to be let down. And then, you know, and depending on your job as if it's just a constant, that's a risky proposition. You know, I think you need to be prepared. So let's talk about the bottom line. The bottom line is, as sad as they are, layoffs are just a normal part of life. They're actually normal. I've been laid off a number of times in my career. .com bust, seeing my startups fail, losing funding. It just happens. So I think it can be devastating, you know, especially to older employees like I was, and to some of the people who aren't prepared for it. But I think you have to be prepared for layoffs. I think you have to put money aside for it and expect it to happen. You have an emergency fund, and then in my case, like becoming financially independent, it's the best way I know how to control layoffs and its effect on yourself and your family. Okay, thanks for coming along. Hot today. Yeah, for mid-November, it's hot. So anyways, we shouldn't have gone hiking at high noon, but it was a lot of fun. Beautiful day. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the content, even though it was kind of a sad subject. And then I wish you all health, happiness, and prosperity in your lives. And I will see you next week on our next big adventure.